You know, it's funny how some things just happen. 1 minute, you're just living your life, doing your own thing. And the next, everything's turned upside down. And suddenly, you're the villain in everyone else's little drama. My name's Kinsley, and I'm 32. And let me tell you, what happened? It was hardly my fault. It all started, really, with Liam, my husband, or, well, ex-husband now. He was always so predictable, steady, dependable. The kind of guy who'd show up exactly when he said he would, do exactly what he promised. Great for some, I guess, but after a while, it just gets a little dull. You know, like watching paint dry. But the paint's a really nice, comforting shade of beige. He was in the military, deployed a lot, and honestly, it was fine. Gave me space. I'm not saying I was out there doing anything crazy, just living. When he told me about this really long deployment, like almost a year, my first thought wasn't dread. It was more like, okay, a year. That's a long time. What am I gonna do? He was all, I'll miss you, babe. Stay safe. And I was all, you too, honey. Be careful. Standard stuff. We kissed. He left. And then it was just me. And the apartment. And the quiet. Now, don't get me wrong. I tried. I really did. I went to those spouse support groups. Tried to make small talk with other military wives. God, they were just so earnest. All about yellow ribbons and counting down the days. I just couldn't get into it. It felt like playing a part. And I'm not really one for acting. I'd nod, smile, say the right things. But inside, I was just like, can we talk about literally anything else? It was during one of these endless afternoons, scrolling through my phone, that I saw it. A message from an old flame, Miles. Nothing serious. Just a casual, hey, how've you been? From someone I used to, you know, mess around with a little before Liam. Harmless. Right. Just catching up. He was always fun. A real live wire. The opposite of beige paint. We started texting, just little things at first. Then longer, more personal stuff. He was funny. He actually listened. And he remembered things I'd said years ago. It felt refreshing. One night, after a particularly boring video call with Liam where he was talking about some new training exercise, honestly, my eyes were glazing over. Miles texted me. He was at a bar nearby, asked if I wanted to grab a drink. Just as friends, he said. And I thought, why not? Liam was halfway across the world. What was the harm? The first drink turned into a few. The few drinks turned into late-night conversations. And then, well, one thing led to another. It wasn't planned. Not really. It just happened. And then it kept happening. It was exciting, thrilling, even something new, something to break up the monotony of waiting. Miles was spontaneous, adventurous. He made me feel seen, in a way Liam hadn't in a long time. Liam was always so focused on his career, on his deployments, on his duty. And I get it. Really, I do. But sometimes, you just want to feel like you matter, too. I started seeing Miles more and more, sneaking around, making excuses. It was a whole different kind of life. And yeah, there was a thrill to it, a little bit of danger. It was stupid. I know, but I wasn't thinking about consequences. I was thinking about how good it felt to feel something, anything, besides that slow, creeping boredom. Then I found out I was pregnant. My stomach dropped. I stared at that little stick with 2 lines, and my mind just went blank. Pregnant, with Miles's baby, while Liam was deployed. The timing, it was impossible. Absolutely impossible to explain. My first thought wasn't about the baby, or about Miles, or even about Liam. It was, how am I going to fix this? Because this was a problem. A really, really big problem. I called Miles. He wasn't exactly thrilled. To put it mildly, he stammered something about how it was my choice and that he'd support whatever I decided. That's when I knew he wasn't going to be any help. He was just as freaked out as I was. Probably more so. He was no Liam. That's for sure. Liam would have figured it out. Taken charge. Miles just sounded like a scared little boy. I spent days, maybe weeks, just in a fog, trying to figure out what to do. Abortion. Adoption. Keeping it. The thought of keeping it was almost laughable. How was I going to explain a baby to Liam? Especially one that clearly wasn't his. Not with the timing. He's not stupid. He'd do the math. And it wouldn't add up. And his family. Oh God. His family. They were already so tight-knit. So judgmental. I could just picture their faces. I considered telling Liam, just getting it all out there. But then I imagined the call. His voice, usually so steady, breaking the disappointment, the anger, the absolute destruction of everything we had. And his family, they'd never let me forget it. They'd crucify me. I couldn't face it. I couldn't be the one to destroy his life, not while he was risking his own. Or so I told myself. It was more about me, really, about protecting myself from their wrath. So, I made a decision. A hard one. An unfair one. Maybe. But I truly believed, at the time, it was the only way to minimize the damage. I looked into adoption, quietly, secretly. I didn't tell Miles. Didn't tell anyone. It felt like I was walking on eggshells. Every single day, pretending everything was normal. While inside, a hurricane was brewing. Finding the agency was surprisingly easy. They were very discreet, very professional. They talked about open adoption, closed adoption, all these options. I just wanted it to be done. Cleanly, quietly. I chose a closed adoption. No contact, no lingering ties. It felt necessary, like severing a limb to save the body. The pregnancy itself was a blur of nausea and anxiety. I wore loose clothing, tried to avoid anyone who might notice. Luckily, Liam was deployed, and his family lived a few states away. I could usually get away with just saying I was bloated or had gained a little weight. It was amazing how blind people could be when they weren't looking for something. Or maybe they just didn't care enough to really look. When the baby came, it was fast. A boy. He was tiny and perfect, in that new baby way. For a brief moment, holding him, I felt something stir, a flicker, but then reality crashed back in. This wasn't my life. This wasn't Liam's son. This was a secret, a huge, dangerous secret that could blow up my entire world. I signed the papers. They took him. And then I went home, and I cried. Not because I missed him, not really, but because of the enormity of what I'd done, and the relief, the sheer, overwhelming relief that it was over, that the secret was safe. Liam came home a few months later. It was a huge celebration. His whole family was there. His parents, his sister, his cousins, all hugging him, telling him how proud they were. And I was there, smiling, playing the supportive wife. It was easy to fall back into the routine, to pretend like nothing had happened. He was tired, a little different from being away, but still the same steady Liam. And I was still Kinsley, the loyal wife. Or so I thought. Life went back to normal. We went on dates. We talked about his deployment, about getting back into a rhythm. He wanted to start a family. Talked about it all the time. Our turn next. Kinsley, he'd say, and my stomach would clench. I'd just smile and nod, saying, yeah, soon, honey. I even started trying to get pregnant with him, just to make it seem real, to push that other life, that other baby, further and further away. A replacement, a clean slate. But secrets, they have a way of festering, like a splinter under the skin. You can ignore it, pretend it's not there, but it keeps nagging at you. And sometimes, you just can't escape it. It started subtly. Little things. Liam's sister, Clara, was always a bit nosy. She'd ask questions, innocent at first. You look a little tired. Kinsley, everything okay? Or, you lost weight. Didn't you? What's your secret? I'd just brush it off, laugh, say I was just stressed or working out more. But I saw the way her eyes lingered, the way she seemed to be studying me. She was observant, too observant. Then there was the medical issue. Nothing major, just a routine checkup. But my doctor, bless her heart, mentioned something about my recent pregnancy. She was just making conversation, confirming my history. But Liam was with me that day. I froze. My blood ran cold. I saw his head snap towards me, his eyes wide. "Recent pregnancy?" he asked, his voice flat. He was usually so calm, but there was a tremor in it then. "What are you talking about?" "Kinsley," I stammered. Tried to laugh it off. "Oh, just a scare. Honey, back when you were deployed. You know, I thought I was, but I wasn't. False alarm. Just got my periods messed up." I tried to make eye contact with the doctor, to somehow telepathically tell her to play along, but she just looked confused. Liam wasn't buying it. He looked at me, then at the doctor, then back at me. His gaze was like a laser. A scare. "Kinsley, why didn't you tell me? You were having a pregnancy scare, and you didn't tell your husband." The doctor, thankfully, just went back to her notes, probably sensing the tension, but the damage was done. Liam was quiet the whole way home. Too quiet. I tried to talk, to make light of it, but he just stared out the window. That night, he barely spoke to me. He got up early the next morning, before me. When I woke up, he was gone. Not a note. Nothing. Just gone. My heart started pounding. This wasn't like him. Not at all. I tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. Then I called his parents. His mom, Brenda, answered, her voice tight. "He's here." "Kinsley, is he okay?" I asked, trying to sound concerned, but my voice was trembling. "He's talking to us," she said, and I could hear the coldness in her voice, the judgment, like I was on trial. I knew. I just knew it. Somehow, he'd found out, or he was putting the pieces together. I felt a wave of nausea, worse than anything during the pregnancy. This was it. The reckoning. It turns out, he hadn't just accepted my flimsy explanation. He'd gone home, done some digging. He found the old medical bills, the ones from the hospital, buried deep in a box I thought was safe. Not just for a scare, but for a full-blown delivery. And with the dates, well, it was undeniable. He didn't even need a paternity test. The timing spoke volumes. When he finally came back to the apartment, a week later, he wasn't alone. His father, David, was with him, and Clara. They stood there, like a firing squad. In our living room, my living room, Liam's face was hard, unreadable. "Kinsley," he said, his voice devoid of any emotion. "We need to talk." I tried to act calm, tried to pretend I didn't know what this was about. "What's wrong, honey?" I asked. "Playing dumb? You've been gone. I've been so worried." Clara snorted. "Worried? Please, Kinsley, let's not play games." David, Liam's dad, stepped forward. He was a big man, usually jovial, but his face was grim. "Kinsley, Liam has told us everything. About the baby." My breath hitched. I looked at Liam. His eyes, usually so warm and kind, were like chips of ice. "What about the baby?" I asked, trying one last time to bluff. Liam stepped forward, his voice low, shaking with suppressed rage. "Don't pretend. Kinsley, don't you dare pretend. I found the hospital records. I know about the delivery. I know about the adoption papers. While I was gone, while I was overseas, fighting for this country, you were having another man's baby, and you gave my son up for adoption." The words hung in the air, heavy, suffocating. "Your son," I scoffed, the fear turning into anger. "He wasn't your son?" Liam, the timing. It was impossible. He was Miles's. What was I supposed to do? Tell you while you were deployed, fighting for your life. Destroy you then. Destroy everything. I was protecting you, protecting us. Clara let out a short, sharp laugh. "Protecting us, or protecting yourself, Kinsley, from having to face the music, from having to admit you cheated on him." "It wasn't cheating," I almost screamed. "It was a mistake, a momentary lapse. He was gone for so long, I was lonely, and Miles was there. It didn't mean anything." Liam just stared at me, his eyes widening slightly. "A mistake. Kinsley, you had a baby? A child?" And you gave him away without a word, without even telling me. That's not a mistake. That's unthinkable. What was I supposed to do? Liam, bring him home. Tell you. Surprise. Here's a baby. But he's not yours. And by the way, I cheated on you while you were gone. You think that would have gone over well? You think your precious family would have just welcomed him with open arms? And me, I gestured wildly at David and Clara. They would have hated me even more than they already do. David's face darkened. That's a low blow. Kinsley, we always treated you like family. Did you? I retorted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Or did you just tolerate me, always judging, always watching, always making me feel like I wasn't good enough for your perfect soldier son? Liam flinched at my words, but his expression remained cold. Kinsley, this isn't about them. This is about you. And your choices. You made a choice to betray me. You made a choice to give away a child without even giving me the chance to know. My son, even if he wasn't biologically mine. He was conceived while we were married. I would have figured something out. We could have done something. But you just disposed of him. Disposed of him. I repeated, aghast. I gave him a better life. A life where he wouldn't be a secret. A mistake. A reminder of everything I did wrong. A life where he'd have two parents who actually wanted him. Without all the baggage. And what about my baggage? Kinsley. Liam's voice was rising now, filled with a raw pain I'd never heard from him. What about the baggage you just dumped on me? The fact that I'll always wonder where he is, if he's okay, what he looks like. You stole that from me. You stole the chance to even know a child was out there. For years. You wouldn't have wanted him, I yelled, tears streaming down my face now. Tears of frustration and anger, not remorse. You would have resented him. Resented me. This was cleaner. For everyone. Cleaner. Clara interjected, her voice sharp. You call this clean? You ruined his life. Kinsley, you broke him. And you think you're justified. I did what I had to do, I cried, feeling cornered. You don't understand. You've never been in my shoes. You've never had to make impossible choices while your husband is halfway across the world. It was unfair. All of it. Liam just shook his head, a look of profound disappointment on his face. There's nothing left to say. Kinsley, it's over. Over, I scoffed, wiping my tears away roughly. So, this is it. You're just going to throw everything away for one little misstep. Misstep. Liam's voice was a low growl. You call having a baby with another man and giving him up for adoption a misstep. No, Kinsley. This isn't a misstep. This is a betrayal of the highest order. And I can't look at you anymore. David stepped forward, his hand on Liam's shoulder. Liam's right. Kinsley, we can't have this. We won't? You're no longer welcome in this family. Not after what you did to our son. And to that innocent child. Clara just stood there, her arms crossed, a smug look on her face, like she'd won. Like she'd always known I was a terrible person. And now she had the proof. Fine, I yelled, throwing my hands up in exasperation. If that's how you feel, then fine. Go. All of you. I don't need any of you. I don't need this family. I don't need this. I waved my hand vaguely at the apartment, at the life we had built. Liam just looked at me, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes, before he turned and walked out. David followed. And Clara gave me one last look of utter disdain before she, too, left. And then I was alone again, just like at the beginning. But this time, it was different. This time, the quiet was deafening, the emptiness, palpable. For a while, I tried to convince myself it was for the best. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Right. Liam was too dull anyway. His family too judgmental. I was free to do what I wanted. Without anyone watching, without anyone expecting me to be something I wasn't. I changed my number, blocked them on social media, erased them from my life, or so I thought. I tried to get back to normal, went out with friends, joined a new gym, tried to date again, but it was harder than I thought. Every time a guy would ask about my past, about my last relationship, I'd clam up, or I'd give some vague, edited version of the truth. It was exhausting, and the loneliness, it was a cold, creeping thing that wouldn't let go. My friends, the ones who didn't ask too many questions, eventually drifted away. It was like I was a black hole, sucking the fun out of everything. No one wanted to hang around someone who was always so guarded. I ended up moving, just packed up what I could fit in my car and drove. Ended up in Phoenix, started over, got a new job. Nothing fancy, just enough to pay the bills. And I tried to forget, tried to pretend it all never happened. But every now and then, I'd see a family with a little boy, around the age my son would be now, and my stomach would twist. A pang of something, not regret, not exactly, more like a dull ache, a phantom limb, reaching for something that wasn't there. I tried to reach out to Miles once, just a text. "Hey, how are you?" He never replied. And that stung. It really did. Like I was disposable to him. Too funny. That he was just as much to blame, but he got to walk away scot-free. One day, I was scrolling through an old friend's social media, someone from my past life, before Liam, before everything. And there it was. A picture. Liam. But not the Liam I knew. He was smiling, genuinely beaming, holding the hand of a beautiful woman. And beside them, a little boy, blonde hair, bright eyes, laughing. He looked happy, more than happy, radiant. My heart seized in my chest. I clicked on the profile. It was public. He'd remarried to this woman, Ilara. And the boy, he was hers, from a previous relationship. They looked like a perfect little family. The comments were all about how wonderful they were, how strong Liam was, how he'd found happiness after such a difficult time. Difficult time. That was me. I was the difficult time. I kept scrolling, deeper into their profiles, pictures of them on vacations, at the park, celebrating holidays. Liam, holding the boy, teaching him to ride a bike. Liam, looking at Ilara with so much love in his eyes. It was sickening. It was everything I had thrown away, everything I had denied him. And then I saw it. A picture of Ilara, with a baby bump, and a caption that read, "Can't wait to welcome our little one. Big brother Elias is so excited." Another baby. Liam was having another baby. A real baby. With someone else. Someone who wasn't me. My vision blurred. It felt like a punch to the gut. He had moved on. He had built the family he always wanted. And he had found someone who could give it to him. Someone who didn't have a past. A secret. A phantom child. I felt a cold rage bubbling up inside me. How could he be so happy, so blessed, while I was stuck here, alone, in a tiny apartment in a city where I knew no one, working a dead-end job, watching my life slowly drain away? It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair at all. I was the one who was lonely. I was the one who was suffering. I was the one who had made the difficult choice, for everyone's sake. And he just got a new life. A better life. I felt a surge of bitterness, so strong it tasted like ash in my mouth. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve any of it. He should have been miserable. He should have been alone. Like me. I closed my laptop with a snap. The screen went black, mirroring my mood. The apartment was quiet again. Too quiet. My phone buzzed with a notification from a local news app. A crime story. Another car accident. Just the usual mundane chaos. It felt like the universe was laughing at me. Everything I had done, all the sacrifices I thought I had made, had only led to this, to watching him flourish while I withered. It wasn't just unfair. It was cosmic. And I hated him for it. I hated all of them. For leaving me. For cutting me off. For not understanding. For not forgiving me. For not seeing things my way. It was all their fault. All of it.